Hi friend, David here from Learn Christmas Lighting, and in this video, it's take 3 for me, first time you've seen it. We're going to build the Wally's Lights Pi Hat controller. Now why am I doing this, and why is it my third time doing it? First of all, if you're new here, welcome. So, I had some trouble recording the video, but it looks like we're rolling now, everything's good, the cameras are happy. And so, what we've got here is the Wally's Lights Pi Hat controller. And I'm just going to show it to you on my phone here. We'll put it on the site here. And it is a $139 controller that, at least right now, that you can get at wallyslights.com, and you can get going with it. Okay? Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up and we're building this controller in this video is because right on the page, when he first came out with this in the spring, it said assembly instructions, we will be releasing videos soon. It still says that. And I love Wally's Lights. Ryan Walter, great guy. And, you know, one of the best vendors in the industry. There's a number of great places that sell pixels. Wally's is one of them. They're awesome. And so they've got instructions here. And I just want to follow them, show you how to build this so that we can have a video for his site, and then I'm going to send it over to Ryan, to Wally. So, assembly instructions. You get, in the box, you get paper instructions. On the second time I recorded this video, I threw those away. Yes, I did. Because I thought, hey, we got it. We're good. No problems. So, this is take 3. I'm just going to follow it on my phone. So what you get in the box is a number of things, okay? You get this waterproof box, okay? It's got a rubber gasket, a lid, cable glands as these are called to let the cables through. Awesome. You get a power supply. Now this is a waterproof IP67 power supply. That means it can get wet, it can sit in the water a little bit, etc. I got this one on Amazon because Wally's was out of them at the time, but I do recommend if he's got them, get them through him. Okay. Next we've got the Raspberry Pi. This is actually the brain, the computer behind the controller right here. Screws for the box, an SD card, and then the Pi Hat controller, which we're going to end up actually mounting to the Raspberry Pi, stuffing in this box, and using as a wireless controller. Now, why do you want a wireless controller like this? Well, it's a great way, honestly, to get started with your first show. If you just want to do some little stuff, hey, grab a quick wireless controller. It'll work great. Okay? I'm going to use it. I've got a tree over, actually, it's on my neighbor's property at the end of their driveway, but you can see it really well coming up the driveway. And so I just thought, you know, why don't I just stick a couple floodlights on that? And it's a path that a lot of kids walk on. So I don't want to have to run multiple cables across that path. So I said, you know what? Let's just do power, run a wireless controller like this, and then, you know, it'll just be plug and play, easy, stick it at the neighbor's tree, good to go. Okay, and I haven't asked my neighbors yet, but they're nice, so they'll be fine. And if not, you know, it's one cable. I can just take it back down again, right? So what's not included in the box, and it does say this in the description, I believe, is the pigtails. Okay, you'll need to buy these separate. And the reason why the pigtails, no, it says it includes pigtails. Mine did not include pigtails. Anyways, so check with Wally's Lights if you're, oh no, optional add-on. Sorry, I'm sorry. I am so sorry. I'm sorry. Optional add-on, it says right here. Wally's, I am wrong. The power supply is indeed an optional add-on, as are pigtails. So you'll need the pigtails. And the reason why he doesn't include them is they need to match the connector of your lights. Now, if you're new to this, get X-Connect, you'll be good to go. All right, let's build this thing. I've already built it twice already, so why not? First things first is, pull the pigtails and power wires into the box. The wires will be tight. So what you've got here are these cable glands, okay? They have a yellow spacer in them, and there's additional spacers included in the box, all right? And what we're going to do is pull our wires through. Now, the other size spacers that are in the box, I found I didn't need for the cables I had. They have a wider opening, okay? So I went power in the bottom, or in the top, however you view it. Push that guy through. It is tight, but that's good. Tight means waterproof, once we tighten this down later, okay? And I like to pull the cable pretty much all the way through. I want to have a lot to work with, okay? Then my data. So I've got my 2 pigtails. Doesn't particularly matter which one's which, but I like to orient it this way. And then, 1, 2, left to right, because that just makes sense, right? Okay. So 1, 2. We're going to pull them back through later. That's why we're pulling the extra now. If you haven't already, you will want to go ahead, clip off, a lot of times pigtails, they just have on the end here of the wire, they'll have like the tiniest little bit of pre-soldered, it's just a dipped in soldered end, and it's not big enough for what we're doing. So if you haven't already done that before, get yourself a pair of wire strippers. These are the automatic Irwin Vice Grip ones. They're awesome, especially if you're new to this, or you can use a more conventional kind. Cut the wires off with these ones. The cutter is right here in between the legs, and then re-strip just a little bit so that it'll fit in nice. I'll show you how to figure that out in a minute. For me, I'm just re-rounding these off because I've built this 3 times. And then we're good to go. All right, next instruction. Connect wires to the pi hat. So we're connecting up the pi hat before we connect it. So what we've got here on the front of it is we've got this 5-way terminal block, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it is ground and voltage plus. Actually, you read it this way. And then voltage data ground, okay? So our 2 here, the section of 2, voltage plus and ground, is for our power supply. Most power supplies are going to be color-coded red and black. And the black is the negative, or in this case, it's called G. It's actually got a minus there too, which is helpful. And the plus is typically the red. You'll notice here I have different colors. I have brown and blue. Brown is the positive, blue is the negative, and that is the color code for power in a lot of the world, okay? So I like to go one at a time, insert my first one. You'll notice on the power supply, these ones I am using the pre-tinned from the factory pre-stripped wire because it's long enough for what we're doing here. So, there's number 1. Number 2, the ground or negative. Tighten those down real good, and the way to figure out if you have the right amount of wire or not is when you insert that wire into the terminal block, okay? And it pushes all the way against the back. Is there any bare wire sticking out? If there is, cut off a little extra on the end. If you're not getting all the way to the end, then you want to strip a little more wire. It's always fine to strip a little extra and then carefully cut that off and re-round it. Better safe than sorry. The worst thing, one of the most frustrating things when you are setting up a Christmas light display is if you left them too short and you didn't get a good connection in that terminal block, it's going to go ahead and it might be a flaky connection. It might not work at all. And you're like, the wires are connected. Why doesn't it work? So just, make sure you've got enough going through there. Okay. Next, I'm going to do, this is number 1 on the top, I believe. And yeah, output 2 on the bottom is labeled. So my left is going to be 1. Now what I want to do while I'm doing this is I just want to be careful not to tie my wires in a knot. So I'm actually going to have a little bit less wire here on that guy, on this guy, because if you do tie your wires in a knot, they'll be hard to fit in and close the box when we get to that point. So now we've got voltage data ground labeled here on the pi hat. It might be difficult to see, but what we're going to do here then is we're going to go ahead and do voltage first. One thing I do like about these pi hats, shout out to Wally's Lights and the ESP Art Stick folks, is they come with the terminal blocks loosened. That's not typical. Typically the voltage data, typically they're tight from the factory, like literally with every piece of equipment. I've used so many different pieces of equipment over the years, pro audio lighting equipment, stuff like that, that uses terminal blocks, Christmas light controllers, all kinds of stuff, and pretty much 100% of terminal blocks from the factory do come pre-tightened, okay? And that drives me crazy because you have to loosen them first, whereas these ones come pre-loosened, and I see nothing bad about that. So that one's connected. Then we have our bottom side. This is where we want to be careful not to make a knot. And so we've got voltage, data, ground, once again. So voltage, which ground again in DC is technically negative. It's not technically a ground, so I'm tightening that up real good. Data. Ground or negative. Then just go through, make sure everything's real tight, okay? You want to make sure everything's tightened down really good, that there's no loose wires, okay? Let's go ahead and read our next instruction. Next instruction. Install SD card if not installed. Mine was not installed. So we're grabbing the Raspberry Pi here, grabbing the SD card. The cool thing about this card that comes with this kit is everything's pre-installed. We find the SD holder right there. We install it. Done. Okay. Next, line up the push pin connectors on the Pi and the ESP art stick, or ESP art stick, Pi hat, whatever it is. And so basically, you know, there's 40 little tiny pins here, and there's 40 receivers. They line up real good. And then you just gently give it a push to tighten down. As long as you don't, like, manhandle it, you're not going to break it. Okay. Next it says plug in the power. Now, I like to go and dress my cables first, because I know I plugged everything in right. So I'm just going to go ahead here. But you could power it up once first, before you dress up the cables. Just pulling them through here. It doesn't truly matter, but of course, if you do end up powering it up while it's still out of the box like this, before it's totally dressed here. Let me actually just turn this on. Yeah, before it's totally dressed here, just, you know, don't touch anything that's gonna shock you, because that would be bad. We want everybody to be safe here, which is why there are disclaimers such as, don't do this if you don't feel comfortable doing it. These instructions are pretty simple, but, you know, they involve electricity and all that, and we want to be careful about that. So I'm just going to place this in here real nice. I'm not going to close it up quite yet. I'm going to make sure the gasket's good, that it's on there nice, so that it's ready to close. But I do want to show you. I want to plug it in, and so we'll go ahead, we'll plug this guy in. I've got my power supply. Next I need to find a place to plug it in. And then what we should see here, as noted, is on the Pi, which I actually have on the bottom here. On the Pi, there should be a power LED that comes on. Okay. Where is that little guy? It's on here somewhere. And if there's not, that means the power strip was not on. That'll work better. Then there's a little power LED on. Yeah, there it is. It is under the words ESP art stick on the Pi itself. On the bottom it's green. It's tiny. As long as you hooked your power up right, it's going to show up. So now we get to the next step. So now we got to connect it to our computer. And so for that, I am going to go ahead and I'm actually just going to connect on, I'm going to connect on my computer. So we'll hop over there, connect up, and see everything run here in a minute. So I'm going to go, actually, a couple things we're going to do while we're here, is I'm going to grab some floods here. Just as a good demonstration here, 2 pixel floods, I've just plugged them in together. And I'm going to place them on my backdrop here. Then I'm going to take them into port 1 here of my pixel controller, the Wally's Lights Pixelmatic 5000. That's not really what it's called. And I'm just connecting the connector up. I know you can't see that. Actually, let's just bring everything over here so you can see it better. So we'll just place these here for right now. Make a big mess of wires, why not? I'm just connecting both of them to a single output here. It's fine within the power specs. You can do regular pixels as well. I'm just doing this as a floods controller for kicks and giggles, for fun. Awesome. So now we're going to go ahead. I'm going to go to the computer All right, so I'm now here at the computer, and what we're going to do is go to our network settings here, and there should be a network that pops up. It takes a couple minutes for the FPP to start, but there should be a wireless network that pops up. You might need to, pause on and off your wireless, called FPP. All right, there it is. I had to, for whatever reason, I had to reboot my little controller. Not sure why, but that's okay. If it doesn't work right the first time, what I did is I just pulled the SD card out and put it back in and rebooted it. And so the password for the FPP network is Christmas, at which point you should be able to go to fpp.local. But I think I actually need to go to the IP address for it. And the reason why I had to go to 192.168.8.1 is because I have another FPP plugged in always here on my network, and I think they were conflicting about the host name. So this is what we see. Okay, this is really easy. So now all we've got to do, as per the instructions, is we go ahead and first of all, you can choose any of the playlists here, hit repeat, or I'm not going to hit repeat, hit play, and boom, it's playing. You probably see the floods on. Yeah, they're kind of bright on camera, but they work. Cool. So you can go ahead and let it run or just hit stop now. Perfect. So what you want to do, this is the old version of FPP. There's a newer version that came out. When I'm recording this, it only came out like a month ago. So it's not to blame Wally's. They're, I'm sure they'll refresh it for next year. But we go to status and control and FPP settings, time. Okay. Now, the first thing to do is hit lookup time zone. And if you're connected to the internet, it should figure out your local time. So it did, let's see, 9:20. Interesting. So I'm gonna, then it says settings have changed, FPPD restart required. So we'll go ahead and do that. And then when it comes back up, we're gonna see, so it got my time zone. It does not have my time. And I believe that there is a clock on this unit. Actually, I know there is because it restarted. So it's about 20 minutes off right now. Got the day right. So I'm just going to go here and type it in. We'll just call it 9 o'clock. That's 3 minutes off. Cool. So now there's a couple things going on in here just to show you around. The first, if I go to the status page, is it's going to show me that the next playlist is Halloween at Wednesday. Okay. Now that all here is in the content setup. Now there's a whole lot more to FPP than what we've got here. But if we go to the schedules, we'll see they've preloaded this with just some general, like, hey, some lights on doing stuff, and then different holidays. So there's patriotic holidays, there's other holidays, and then of course Halloween and Christmas. So you could literally take this, you could plug it in and just have stuff in there and run it. And then what you'll see is if you fire any of them, you'll see the lights turn on. So obviously, I'm just going to turn one on and head back to the camera. I'm just going to repeat, press play. Awesome. And so now I've got some floods going right here. Boom. Turn back to me. I'm all kinds of colors because of that. But seriously, I've got these floods running back here. They're running. That's FPP and this basic controller in a nutshell. The last thing we need to do here as I jabber on about a couple more things is close it up. So just get the cover on nice. There is a little bit of lid space in the cover. And then there are 7 screws. Yes, 7 screws to tighten down. This is not the right screwdriver. They're a Phillips, at least in the model that I received. By the way, just my full disclosure here is I didn't tell Wally I was going to do this. I paid for my controller. I do like these little things. They're a great way to get started with the basics, and as of right now, they're in stock. So you can tighten all those up like I am now. Actually, you can just, yeah, look at that. We got skills here. No, maybe not. Okay. We can tighten that up, and so basically what we got going on here is this basic controller. If you're looking for more info on it, check it out at Wally's Lights. If you're looking for more info on using X lights, on starting your first Christmas light show, that is everything that we do here. So be sure you're subscribed here to LearnChristmasLighting.com, the Learn Christmas Lighting YouTube. And if you're looking to dive in, I know it's obviously late in the year to get started for this year, but even if you want to start up something basic or you want to plan for next year, check out Learn Christmas Lighting Academy. We open a handful of times a year. It's a bunch of step-by-step courses where we walk you through everything you need to know to create a great Christmas light show, from designing your display, picking out controllers, putting it all together, troubleshooting, tearing it down, the whole shebang. We cover it there. So if you're interested in that, check out learnchristmaslighting.com/wait, or we'll have a link below to get you on our wait list, get you a little more info about that. For now, I'll see you guys in our next video. Thanks so much for watching, subscribing, and we'll see you guys around the web. Thanks.